everyone. Again, appreciate Jon being here. Jon's the man. And I'm just going to let you do your thing because this is what you do. And I'm just going to basically sit back and listen. And learn and absorb the knowledge, basically.
Good, cool. Well, first thing that I want to thank Jesse so much in trusting me to present this webinar. And the one thing that you're going to get is value. The only thing that I'm going to forward you to is a downloadable document for attending. And so what I want you to do is go to the text into 657-444-1500, and you can get a piece from a valuable piece that will support you in your recruiting and leadership. So I'll give you that number again at the end, but I'll give it to you again now. And you'll text in Cheplak, CHEPLAK, to 657-444-1500. So what I'm going to go is, I don't know if I'd call it the Fast and the Furious. We've got 30 minutes, but I'll go longer. I tend to do that anyways because I want to give tremendous value. And here's what I want to share with you. This isn't my wonderful story. This is a story because there are just a lot of theorists. And again, with all due respect, I come from the trenches. I actually recruited real estate agents as a branch manager, and then as an executive led a multi-office organization. So it's not someone that saw an opportunity in our industry to exploit and become the recruiting guru. I did the work and have been committed to it. And I would say I have not mastered it because I think mastery is something that goes on over time. But the really good news is I was able to, with the principles that I'm going to share with you, that you're going to find counterintuitive, that are not because that, I like to, just be the polar opposite, because it's the truth and I'm willing to go with the truth. This stuff works. And if you follow these simple principles, you can win. But I want to give you some examples. Here's an example of some of the victories that have taken place. And keep in mind too, here's a gentleman that we work with, Mike Pruitt down in Atlanta, just a great leader. And ultimately they do the work. But partnered with our framework. This was a week of recruiting. I'm gonna do a little math with y'all there. That's about 20 million in production. And let's just throw out, I don't know, let's just say that's $500,000. Well, all of those agents were added, okay, at a 70-30 split. So anyone doing out the math out there, that's 150,000, okay, retained by the brokerage in 1 week of recruiting. 150. Now let's say that, I don't know, on average, one stays 10 years, one stays 5, 3, who knows what it is. But let's just do a little math. Let's take that, that 150,000 times 6 or 7 total years of that. Now that's $1 million.
Right.
Retained by the broker. So, here's the thing I want to share with you guys. It's so important. It's the question to ask you if you're running a team. It's a question to ask yourself if you're running a brokerage. So how much lift and haul? How many leads are you buying? Tell me about your CRM. Tell me about all the appointments you go on. Tell me about all the drip campaigns. Tell me about the showings, the open houses, to close one transaction that may in your market have a $6,000 gross value, that may have a $9,000 gross one time. And yet I'm talking about right here, something over time can be $1 million. And broker owner managers and team leaders don't even have a system that equals. I mean, this is a multiple of what transaction is. But the point I want you to get, that you could leave, download the document, text in, and leave if you capture that one point. You've got to treat recruiting like you do generating buyer and seller leads. So here's an example, and cute little comment. You could have done that 3 years ago if we would have implemented and listened to me. Okay. There's another gentleman that many folks probably are familiar with too. 100 agent companies. Back when I started working with this gentleman, Anthony Lamacchia, and it's a 2-step. He doesn't just take anyone. 8 recruits in a week. And it's easy to throw numbers out at you guys. And this isn't about me. It's about them. And it's about, it could be you. Not just bringing recruits because I showed you the dollar return that you guys can get. Okay. But this was a 2-step, and the 2-step meaning after there was an agreement to join and he's still recruiting this way. Oh, by the way, you got to come back for a second interview. We're not playing the body shop game. So there's the substance. Let's get right into it. Here's what I want you to think about that's really exciting for you. If you want to grow, if you want to keep chasing leads, listen, your leads, your technology, your software, it's all important. but everyone's aiming at the wrong target. Because tell me how many leads you're going to convert, generate, nurture, and tell me about all your amazing software and all the things you have if you don't have the right people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, capacity of the team has always been an issue, and those bodies are producing, when you adopt someone onto your team, you're adopting their SOI and all of that stuff. So it's so critical to have that available.
We have numerous, when you look at teams, we have numerous teams where they take a look, an agent that's on that team has contributed after their retained dollars, $1 million.
Right.
Term. I mean, $1 million to pay the bills with and have some profit. So here's what's exciting for you in surveying. And I don't know, I'm the sharpest tool in the shed, Jesse, and I know you're a sharp dude, but I think the one thing that always wins is just hanging out a long time and not going away, being consistent. And so I ask a lot of questions. Here's what's really cool. In surveying thousands around the world, 80% no recruiting drip campaign. This is your competitive landscape for recruiting, guys, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 90% no video recruiting initiative, 60% no social media initiative, 95% not making recruiting prospecting calls consistently. Now, here's what's interesting, team leader, and I say this with love, but doggone it frustrates you. Your agents won't make their calls every day. Well, maybe they're mirroring us, right? So 90% of $5 million producers and above have not received a recruiting call in over 2 years. Now, here's a little caveat. I know what I've found, Jess, and you too probably should look around. A lot of the teams, their avatar is that person that's maybe done under 2 million or maybe done 5 to 15 transactions, and they've had enough pain to realize, man, this thing's tough on our own. Maybe we need to be somewhere where it's a different environment. The leads are provided. We follow a structured system. I just want to let you know, here's the piece. We have a team that's bringing in 8, 12, and $13 million producers on team splits.
Right.
So you guys, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's the experience they have with you, period. Okay. Here's the biggest mistake everyone's making in recruiting. This is how we're taught to prospect for buyers and sellers. And this is how we're freaking recruiting. It is what everyone's doing is they're going to an ATM machine, the bank account, and they're trying to make withdrawals with their debit card, and they haven't made any deposits. There's no money in the bank. What I want to share with you guys is this. You've got to make deposits in the business relationship equity account. It's not a magical script. As a matter of fact, you need to dump your calls to action, okay, on your recruiting dialogues, marketing pieces. It creates friction. And I'll share some statistical data. This is a universal marketing rule, but it plays very well here. So you think about this, 95% of your agents that you're targeting right now trying to recruit, they have no intent. They're indifferent. They're not thinking about making a move. They're just not. If you've got 100 agents in the marketplace, 95 of them aren't going to bed at night going, I wonder what Team Smith has for me. Boy, I wonder what that is. But yet, so what we're doing is we're saying the right things to the wrong people. Stop leading with conversion language. Only 5% have consideration, where a relevant conversation with them, Jesse, is going to be one that talks about making a move. Lead with value, period.
Right. Yeah, because I think most people, it's kind of like if you think of real estate as a whole, right? We don't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to sell my house. Usually it's going to be driven by life events or something like that. And what happens with consistent branding and delivering value, or if we use like Chris Lindahl as an example, all of his advertising, basically, you're top of mind at that moment when that moment happens. So if you're delivering value all of the time, what you're doing is that you're getting permission to occupy some brain space in there. And basically what you're developing that relationship very subtly. So when the moment comes available, whenever that's going to be for them, whatever the impetus to drive that change to go from indifferent to consideration, then you're top of mind at that moment in time. It's so powerful.
100%. And yet it's interesting, people, and I can share it with people. They'll pay to have me come out and speak and tell it to them. And then they'll still go back to, we default to being salesy, feature dumb. Remember this, guys, everyone wants to buy. No one wants to be sold.
Right.
there's a situation that comes up a lot. If you're listening to this, watching this now live or later on, you know, how many times have you had a recruiting interview that went so well and they didn't join on the spot? You went to follow up with them and they ghosted you. Well, they ghosted you because you thought it went well, because you said what was important to you. Well, remember this, you guys, there's 3 important subjects to human beings, the 3 most important subjects: me, myself, and I.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason they're not responding to you after what you thought was a great interview is you did not connect with them where they're at. See, and you'll see this a little bit later on the slides. Here's what you need to do. You need to create an experience of what it's going to be like when they join, before they join.
Mm-hmm.
All you want to do is be in second place so that when something happens, you're the first choice.
Exactly. No, it makes so much sense. So much sense.
So here's some life principles, and I think that you know, I'm sure you've heard or seen something like some of these before. Some you haven't, but I think this will bring us back and bridge that gap from working with a buyer and seller lead to working with the recruit. People don't believe what they're told; they believe what they experience. Create the experience of what it's going to be like when they join, before they join.
Mm-hmm.
Self-discovery is the highest form of human persuasion, the number one way to facilitate a human being to a choice or a change. When you're running friction-based conversion language at them all the time, oh my gosh, your check could be this big, your split could be big, your stocks could be this big. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're also leading with something that causes them to jump when they get recruited the same way again too, right? You're making the split the most important thing versus delivering value and talking about, you know, a culture and a tribe that is there to kind of learn and work together. And I think that's something that's really critical. Yeah.
Well, it is. People, you know, it's kind of what you're moving into. People will leave you based on how they joined you.
Mm-hmm.
Every time. So if you're focused on a money-based relationship, I'm going to give you a little news flash, ladies and gentlemen. There's never been enough money in a relationship to keep it together.
Yeah. I think the national divorce rate talks about that.
So the next piece too, I want you all to look at your messaging, your dialogues, your email drip campaigns, your videos, which you should have. If you want to really make a lot, so if you want to make a lot of money, you could not change a single thing on your team tomorrow and go on a recruiting retention initiative. Change nothing. Change nothing. I got news for you. Game over. And we've got many examples of this. So we choose with our heart and justify with our mind. Stop leading with logic. You need to make psychological and emotional bonds. Think about this. People ask me, what's the great model out there? Best model. Come on, John, you can tell me. I know you work with them all, but secretly tell me. Okay, I'm going to tell you a secret. Ready? It's the leadership model. Because I can show you a split model with one brand and someone's failing in it. What's the common denominator leader? I can show you a revenue share model. You know, it's like McDonald's. It's across the board. It's the same. Well, McDonald's has stores that fail too. I happen to know someone who McDonald's brings in to buy out when an operator fails. The system's the same. The model's the same. It's leadership. And you may say, oh, no, I think it's about money and splits. Okay, well, if it's about money and splits, then how come the rest of your folks haven't left you then?
Mm-hmm.
There's the truth. When people will say, oh, I can't get people to come over because of this or that, or they won't move over, or we got to move our split. Really? So, but you're not having to move or change your splits with your people that you already have. So why don't you reverse engineer what you're already doing? Remember this. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders, the growth of your business is inside your business, not outside your business, period. So here's one piece to know, because we've surveyed 1,000 broker owner managers, team leaders twice now in the last 10 years. How many contacts on average does it take before a licensed agent makes a move? It takes 14 contacts of value transference. A video that has some business building tips, an email that has 3 steps to getting massive traffic to your open house, the 7 steps to get the listing price right. Like sending messaging to your competitors' agents that educates them, because it's called getting people to make a micro commitment. What's a micro commitment? Every time someone consumes a piece of my content that has value, they're making a micro commitment. And every major commitment move, see, people are trying to join. Well, no. Amygdala kicks in, fight or flight kicks in, gone, message doesn't connect. What we're doing is we just a series of micro commitments. So that what happens, there have been so many deposits, when the next natural step is, well, I guess I just need to join. Literally have people saying, buddy Anthony Lamacchia just said it yesterday. See, now John just had someone call yesterday, say, I'm joining. Been watching your videos for 2 years. Exactly. But and what's interesting, if you watch Anthony Lamacchia's videos that he does for recruiting, not one has a call to action on it.
Right.
Give people value. Okay. So here's some other pieces for you guys to take away, and then we'll get into some of the stuff. We're not going to wait and resist human nature. We're going to handle objections in advance. You know, one of the things in the calling that we do, you've got to make promises. Don't try and recruit people in the first interview. You're going to lose them. Why would I fight human nature? I just shared the statistical data with you. It takes 14 contacts, but you're going to game the empirical data? Have fun gaming the empirical data. So what we do is we handle the objections in advance. They have sales skepticism. Your job in your communication, and even when you do get the appointment, meet with them, is remind them that you are not going to. You make the promises. I'm not going to try and recruit you. Hopefully, maybe in the future you do join. We're not going to talk about my company. Not going to talk about your company. We're going to talk about the only thing that matters, you and your business. Treat them as if they were one of your agents. Demonstrate your competency and relevancy as a leader. That's the thing. Otherwise, jump in the barrel of monkeys with everyone else doing the, but we're better than they are. Woo! So, one thing to remember, if you're having trouble and you're making prospecting calls and you're not getting the conversions you get, I'm going to get to the conversions you should be experiencing, okay? Many times it's not what you're saying. It's that you didn't send something of value to them prior. You're going cold traffic. You're going cold. So you've got to make the deposit. Then when you are making your recruiting call, you've invoked the law of fair exchange. You've invoked the law of reciprocity. And we use what we call a did you get call. Did you get? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we talked about going to the ATM machine, making deposits. 3350, 33. I want you to remember this. And this again comes from, you know, not being the sharpest tool in the shed, just hanging around for a really long time. So if you are putting out good content consistently across all channels, okay, and you're following the right language patterns on the phone, 1 out of 3 people should say, yes, I'll meet with you. 1 out of 3.
And this is for a recruiting appointment, basically, whether it's a coffee or just to kind of chit chat and build a relationship.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. 1 out of 3 said, I'm willing to meet. If it's less than that, either you've got a problem in your language pattern when you're talking on the phone, or you haven't sent them an item of value. You're just going right at them cold. Okay. Now here's the big one that can be helpful too. You know, you got to get your ego out of the way when it comes to recruiting. You know, I've just kind of done this since 1995, actually doing it into a branch, into a company, and now, you know, throughout the world, supporting leaders like y'all here. So this is just part of the game. If you can keep a 50% or lower no-show reschedule ratio, you're killing it. Yes. Now, why do I say you're killing it? Well, because leaders will say to me, well, if they can't even call and reschedule the appointment or they no-show, I'm like, that's fine, that's cool. I've had people play that game on me 6 months later. John, you know, I'm still struggling with recruiting. Yeah, how's that being, you know, they're not showing. If someone's going to no-show on me, I'm sorry. It's the nature of the beast. It's just what it is. Okay. Now you can combat that if you want to. Increase your call volume massively, increase your resource, or just play the numbers game that's proven. Because we have many people that no-showed and canceled on me. I landed them and they ended up being a real good ROI for our time and money. Then the final one, so 50% no-show reschedule ratio. If that's higher, A, you're either overselling on the phone, or B, you are a confirmation process is really, really weak. My suggestion is this: video text. Stop using the word confirmation. It's weak. Hey, it's John. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m., where we're going to talk about the only thing that matters, you and your business. I'll see you there. Now, how come a video? Because I've made another deposit. See, they've got to consume it, micro commitment. The power of video. The unconscious brain can't discern the difference between a moving head on a cell phone, a laptop, a desktop, an iPad. The unconscious brain sees that moving head on the cell phone as TV. You do want to build authority. Enter in the back of the brain. Don't just do video because it looks better, it's neat. No, think of the psychology of this, okay? And it's going to move you further down this path of building trust, okay? So that naturally they join you. Now, again, though, that 1 out of 3 joining you includes those that you would pick, not, discern out. You're not a fit, and those that just don't choose you. With a caveat: if you've made 14 contacts with them, evaluate, someone reach out, your system doesn't work. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm following. Good. Let's open up your CRM. Sally Smith. Well, I see here you contacted Sally. You've had 6. She's opened your drip email 3 times. You called her twice. You met with her once. That's 6. And what was the number? 14. So you don't even know yet.
Right. Yeah. One question that we have that's kind of popping up here in the group is that 33% ratio that you're kind of talking about. Is that after how many contacts? Is it kind of after the 14 of making a bunch of micro deposits where you kind of transition that over into like, hey, would you like to get together? Or how do you make that transition from providing value to eventually trying to ask for basically a phone call?
Right. So 2 parts that I'm hearing, Jesse, is number 1, on average, 14 is that time when they join, if you look at that. So it takes 14 to the point where they'll join. When do you transition? Now watch this. It's somewhat passive. When they raise their hand. Mm-hmm. Or now let me define raising your hand. Now, early on, you want to be careful because you don't even want to go there. You almost want to push away, say, listen, I want to make a suggestion too. I wouldn't suggest that someone that has a business that's going on makes a decision that impacts their life in 1 meeting, maybe not even in 2. So also what I'm doing too is I'm lowering their guard that way. I'm not playing takeaway. Mm-hmm. I'm just lowering their guard. So the other piece though is, use your skills. You're where you're at. You're a broker, owner, manager because you've got some sales skills. So where you can pivot in, if they haven't said, hey, listen, this is sounding great, Jesse, I want to join you. But if they're leaning in, wow, I mean, you've shown me more in 2 interviews and the emails you've sent me to my current brokers. Well, then pivot, soft pivot. Well, based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like you might have an interest in how we could possibly work together. Or am I hearing you wrong? Stay there, because they'll ghost you. If you go to conversion too early, they're ghost. They're gone.
Right. Yeah.
They sit through the interview, right?
So I like the analogy of like dating, right? So many people are trying to go straight from first date to, going home, and then you got to like work your way down that path basically to earn their trust. So, dating and this kind of relationship building is almost identically the same.
Yeah, it is. And so you've got a sense, when can I, hey, did you bond really good with that person? Sometimes your date takes longer to get to know someone, or, so who knows, but still there's a process in this. So I'm going to give you guys three of the ways to recruit. I'm going to go kind of quick. My mistake that I make in the short time I do this, I jam all kinds of stuff in, but I just, I want you to hear it. So there's 3 ways: deposit, withdrawal, what I'm talking about, where we're making deposits in the marketplace. And then we make withdrawals. We make withdrawals by getting them on the phone. That's a withdrawal. They're taking their time. Meeting with me is a withdrawal. Consuming my content is a withdrawal. Sure, I need the deposit, getting it to them. So I'm playing the deposit withdrawal game with them until I move them along the space where there's no like trust. Now, there is a sharp angle point in time where you may be disco dancing with someone and you feel they're cool. If you go to conversion, and you may just go, John, I've been talking to this person forever, and it's a big producer, it's a team for a brokerage, it's this, even Brokers do big teams. I say, no, it's time for hey, Jesse, it's John. What the heck do we need to do to work together? So put some humor in it. When you've built that trust and built a relationship, yes, there's times where it's just back there. Well, wonder when they're going to join. No, there's times we go sharp angle. The second one that works really well, recruiting events. Now, here's the difference in my recruiting events, and that alone is one presentation on its own. We just did one in Calgary, had 100 people in the room. Justin Hammer, and it's going to have we already have a great group of agents that are joining from that. You do a 2-3 hour training event. You invite all the agents in that you want to have come in, and you train them. You give them value. Most of the time, we don't call to action. In that case, what I'll do in situations, if you have a massive brand, and like Justin's the #1 RE/MAX team in Canada. I mean, he's number 9 in the world. So his credibility, his authority, the curiosity, Lindahl too. Those guys are the type of guys where, you know what, and you look at their per person productivity, like best in the country. Their people do 3 transactions a piece minimum. With them, there's such a value that's been built. They can go, but they're the few. They can go to conversion. But so events is one way to do it, and then enrolling your agents, having your agents support you. So one of the things I want to share with you too, just real quickly, and I know Jesse and I speak this same language, but I think many people miss it, is we're so pigeonholed in our industry, and we're pigeonholed into scripts and dialogues. Well, what I want to suggest to you is think copywriting. You need to think copy. The people are going to win right now are not script and dialogue people. No, script and dialogue is middle school, okay? Copywriting is grad school. And copywriting is the words you say, the words you write, the scripting of all your language. But there's smart ways to do it. Why create something when you can use something based on neuroscience, which I did? This is called the SMIQ from one of my coaches. I'll always give proper attribution to Ryan Levesque, who wrote the Ask Method. Mm-hmm. It's the most important question. When it comes to choosing a real estate company or team to work for, what's the single greatest reason that would keep you from joining? Please be as specific as possible. I surveyed 1,000 agents, 1,000 doing, I think it was 5 million and above.
Okay.
I got all their, this just gives you an example of some of the things they said. I put it in a word cloud. Anyone want to look on there and tell me how big the word commission is? See, right. You all know how a word cloud works. It brings out in size based on the words used most. Okay, sure don't see, let's see, commission. Can anyone find fee or split in there? Oh, split. Split's tiny too. Business support. Lack is a word they use. Now, what I want to share with you is there's a lot of things that come from the SMIQ. I don't want to create cheesy dialogue. You know what I want to do? Guess what? This is my avatar's, if I'm a recruiter, this is my avatar's language. What brilliant salespeople, brilliant marketers do is they echo back the words their audience uses to them. So now what we have compiled here are the words that our avatar, our prospect, our recruit uses. So we're going to use the top 10 words in writing subject lines of emails, of writing text messages, of doing Facebook posts. You guys, it's 2019. You got to get sophisticated. That's why there's outside forces that have jumped in our business, because we can't displace it. Okay? Yeah. So I just say that to encourage everyone. I've been in this thing for 31 years, hung around. Now, here's what happens once you get your message right, folks. I'm going to spoil some myths right here for you. Message to match is everything. I want you to notice there in 28 days, see, spam isn't how often you hit people. This is recruiting emails. 28 days, we sent 9 emails to an audience that we progressed up. If you look at the third column from the right, it shows how many were sent. So I grew the audience up to the number of people I'm sending to. You guys, who's getting 43% email open rates, sending an email every 3 days? Bring it. This is from my platform. I launched these and worked with the message, the subject line. So ladies and gentlemen, a couple things that are universal in anything. Spam is not how often you send something. Spam is the quality of your message. To be very okay. But notice, you guys, notice the audience. This is sending to 6,600 agents, and I'll tell you where, Phoenix, Arizona. 6,600 people recruiting emails every 3 days, 43% email open rates. Get your message right. Everything I'm telling you about messaging is what was going into these, okay? Here's an example. Here's 2 live ones. Stop talking over your audience. These are the drip campaigns. And you ready for this? Anyone that knows Douglas Elliman, a very she company in Long Island, this was their Long Island branch, targeting top agents. Look at the message. 4 tips to drive. This is a drip email. This is a recruiting drip email, but you know what? People, oh, that's dumb. That's fine. Your ego's in the way. I've launched 100 million emails written by me through my email servers in the last 10 years. I might have empirical data more than anyone based on how people behave. I've written it, I measure it, and guess what? Less is more, keep it simple. These got massive email open rates. And when they called the experienced agents afterwards, man, I loved it. It was the basics. Thank you for the reminders. When would you like to put down? I'd love to. This is drip email marketing recruit, period.
Yeah, in a book, you know, Brand Story, it's kind of interesting to talk about, you know, storytelling. And one of the things that they talk about is simplifying the messages, because human nature is that you don't want to, you're designed to basically survive, and part of surviving is burning the least amount of energy possible, which basically makes us lazy by nature. And that's why we take the path of least resistance. And I think this really highlights that sense of 4 quick tips, easily digestible. It's not a big, heavy mental investment to understand what's going on there. And they get instant value that's digestible so quickly. So as you say, it's kind of an instant reminder. It gets them to open it because of that curiosity factor, that type of headline writing, which is kind of used by, you know, whether it's BuzzFeed and, you know, all of the big online not necessarily clickbait, because you're just trying to get it open. But that value of using curiosity and delivering real value in bite-sized chunks makes it so that they'll keep digesting it over and over, so that you get the withdrawals that you're kind of talking about. Very, very powerful.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I studied with Donald Miller about 3 years ago, StoryBrand. Great stuff. Okay, so here are the steps. You make a deposit. And again, I'm staying real high level because I'm just trying to give you guys a bunch. You make deposits. You've seen the items of value. You make a call. Did you get? Check in. Ask questions about what they did get. Say if it's something, how to generate more business on Facebook. So tell me, are you currently generating enough business on Facebook through Facebook ads? I'm not. I am. Great. You know, what's working? What's not working? When would be a good time to sit down? Okay. You just stay in that space. Pivot to the appointment. Handle the objections in advance. Make the promises. I'm not going to talk about my company. Not going to talk about your company. We're going to talk about the only thing that matters, you and your business. Okay. And here's an example of what happens. This is from callers that we have going. Number of dials, number of conversations, number of nurtures, number of appointments. So this is pretty cool here. You know, this one right here recently, 58 conversations. It's easy to talk about stuff, but I like to pull the real stuff. 58 conversations, 25 appointments scheduled. When you're nailing your content, you're nailing the dialogue of what's worked, what's been proven year after year after year. Good things are happening for you. Now here's the piece. Here's inside of a CRM real quickly for recruiting period. Notice the equation. Now the one thing, and see how many broker owner managers, team leaders have a recruiting system like this. The number one place the money is in your people, yet we spend millions on systems for one buyer. It's worth 9, 10, 12 grand. One recruit's worth $1 million, like $1 million net over time if they stay. I want you to get it. So sure, you'll see the ratios are low here when you look at number of interviews only hired for. Now this illustrates though, we're still early on in the 14 contact phase, right? But you can see that we're sending out coaching tips. Notice the different names: time money assessment tool, sphere of influence builder tool, confidential business assessment tool, confidential business, all tools, not rah, rah, we're wonderful. But you can see how the numbers come into play. My thing is this, is you'll continue to do good or you'll continue to struggle until you have a system that you're obsessed with at the same level you are obsessed with your generation of buyer and seller leads and converting them, period. Okay. And final piece that I just want to share, we all know this, but we all need to be reminded, y'all need to be using video. If you're not using video, you're a dinosaur. 55% of impact in recruiting, it's massive, massive. It's the game changer. 55% of the impact of communication is body language. Tell me how much body language there is on a cell phone, a text, and email. I got news for you. 3-prong ain't gonna win anymore. The person who brings the 4th-prong video wins. And let me share with you what our friends at Nielsen Rating Company shared with us about that. Nielsen Rating Company was so fascinated by video on Facebook. Checking my clock here. I've gone over, which I always want to go, but I'm looking at my stop. So they said, we're going to study video on Facebook. You guys, keep worrying about your hairline, your Botox, your wrinkly skin, your receding hairline. Keep worrying about it. Because the rest of us, we're not going to give to you-know-whats, and we're going to win, because 3 seconds of a video consumed has a 44% cumulative impact on purchase intent, 32% impact on brand awareness, and a 47% on ad recall. So, hey, you keep worrying about that and then keep wondering. And I just want to challenge you with love. So, keep trying.
No, definitely makes sense, because you're connecting on a much more human level at that moment in time. And, they're going to pass judgment either which way when they see you anyway. So you might as well just get rid of that at the very beginning.
Well, and here's the big deal, Jesse. While you're worrying about what everyone thinks about you,
yeah,
they're worrying what you think about them. So we're all in this big freaking circle cycling. Okay. And I love y'all, but you're not that important that everyone's worrying about you. Sorry.
Yeah, very true.
So
very
just
true.
keep that in mind. And here's real quickly, this is the event recruiting traffic machine. We post an event, put a marketing video out there, just like coaches and trainers in the real estate industry do, like you did promoting this event. Okay. Facebook, Instagram, email, call them. And then we put them into a video a funnel that confirms autoresponder all the way up until the event, a post-event funnel. And then they text you and ask if they can join.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for letting me attend. I'd love to meet, and let me talk you into letting me join you. Okay.
Right.
So these are just high level pieces. Final piece is this: enroll your agents in the recruiting. Stop giving them money. You don't have to. That's ridiculous. Right. I've tested. Okay. It's a cultural thing. You need to frame into the value of collective genius and how the company grows. The whole's bigger than the part, because a great leader builds culture based on community. Then you enroll them, and then you acknowledge them when they help you. And here's the final tip, and I'll have about 2 minutes left, is this. What is the one thing? Because it wasn't just a hook. It was not just a hook to get you here. What's the one thing that the elite are doing? And many of the folks that you work with, you're out there with one of them there with Chris and that whole crew. Here's the one thing that they're doing that people don't get. You got to acknowledge human beings. It's the #1 human need next to food, water, air. They want to belong. What they're doing is they're consistently, publicly acknowledging their people. I can tell you, you'll think it's cool. You may run out and do it once. I'm going to tell you, it's the game changer. I can give you lists of names of people that I work with. And as Jesse knows, humbly, I'm very fortunate to work with the best in the world. Right. Their franchises rank them as that, like #1s.
I've been to some of your events, and I've seen the immediate impact when you share this tip in terms of acknowledging them, on Facebook and congratulating them. And, this is basic psychology. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And that sense of belonging and being part of something is very core to humans. And when you have the leader who acknowledges their people, they basically re-acknowledge you. And the interesting thing that I've seen, at some of your events personally, has been those being shared, because I'm friends with them on Facebook as well. And then watching their posts getting reshared by the person that was acknowledged.
Their agent.
Like, hey, look at it. And that's, this long leg of recruiting, because it's a referral at the end of the day.
You're watching it happen. Yeah, you're friends. So you're watching it happen. We're talking about my lead in her circle, my 60 one-on-ones. We've been sharing that a lot in the last week. Look at, I'm one that did her top 5. All top 5 unsolicited, shared that, hey, I got this. I'm so fortunate. I'm with a company. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the agent that was recognized as top 5 and shares a post by their broker owner or team leader, who is that agent friends with on Facebook? Oh, your avatar, the people you're trying to recruit. Ta-da! It's so simple, you guys. So I've got a 1-minute hard stop here. I want to, first of all, thank you, Jesse. I want to let you all know, please text you. It's a downloadable document, value you can use even more beyond what we shared here. Text 657-444-1500 and then type in Cheplak. Type in Cheplak and you'll get a nice little download. Jesse, anything before I cut out on your end, brother?
No, I think that's it, man. You've been super, super helpful, and I really appreciate, everything that you've shared with us. I don't think that people really understand how valuable it is to keep your recruiting machine, because you can get rid of that ebb and flow and just keep adding on and building that culture based on your own leadership and providing value. You're bringing in the people that are going to stick because they stuck. Initially, they were attracted based on value and not based on commission. I think that's a massive takeaway that people really need to understand, and it protects you, on the downside of those relationships, because they're not built on money, and that relationship is always going to be built on mutual respect of someone's knowledge, and I think that's huge, huge, huge. So, I'm not as eloquent as you to summarize it, but I think that that's the big takeaway that I've seen. And I've personally seen, your actions in place with some of the people that I work with as well. And they've instituted your stuff and had big wins. So, I just want to say thanks for sharing that stuff. It's really important. And hopefully it's of value to everyone that's listening to here right now. So definitely appreciate it.
Well, I'm off to another coaching call. Thanks, brother. And thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. You have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.